Hi, I'm Stevie.
Hi, I'm Sarahlin.
And we are here with Victoria.
Hi.
And welcome to episode 3, Let's Talk Autism, the diagnose. You might hear some fire brigade and animals going past, but that's because we are filming in Kaleidoscope. If you know about Kaleidoscope, you would realise it's past the hospital and the police station. So Sarah, how old was you when you got diagnosed with autism?
11. You?
I was 9.
And I was 3.
Well, there's a funny story with me getting diagnosed. When I went to primary school, we got this new head teacher who said that there was something different about me about other kids. So when I was 8, I was actually diagnosed with dyslexic, but when I was 9, I was also diagnosed with autism.
When I got diagnosed, I just remember sitting down in a chair and them telling my mum.
Okay.
And then they had to tell me.
Obviously.
Because I was born premature, 3 months, my brain wasn't developed properly.
Okay.
And then my mum realised that when I was 3, I was then diagnosed with autism. So.
Can I ask? Victoria, you said your brain wasn't developed properly. What does that mean?
Well, it just wasn't working properly, and it wasn't like.
It's okay if you can't answer it. We asked the lady.
It was.
It's a good question to ask the lady.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Okay.
Victoria, I just don't know what you mean.
So what sort of questions will you be asking them, Sarah?
How do they know they diagnose someone right? Like, how do they
What
know
if they
they're
make
sure?
a mistake?
Yeah.
It's a good question. What about you, Victoria?
I'm just trying to think of it.
Oh.
What about you, Stevie?
I'm gonna ask them things like, what sort of support do you give them afterwards? Maybe do they help decide what primary special needs school if they leave a special needs school? I'm also gonna ask some questions about special needs schools and how they think there's one. Hi, so we now have Dr. San. Hi, Dr. San. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, I'm Dr. Sian Morgan. I'm one of the children's doctors at Kaleidoscope in Lewisham, and I'm also the school doctor for Drumbeat and the school governor.
So, in this building that we're in now, doing this podcast, can you explain to us what exactly happened here in Kaleidoscope?
Okay, so this is a building where we see children and young people. In the building are lots of different types of professionals. So there's doctors, put them first, nurses, there's speech and language therapists, there's the CAMS team, who are child and adolescent mental health services, there's education, physiotherapy, occupational therapy. I could sort of go on, there's more. So there's all the people in the building that young people come here. If they've got a problem, they may be able to be helped by one or more of these teams.
I come here for physiotherapy.
So you know our physiotherapists?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Sean, you diagnose kids.
That's right.
How would you know if you did diagnose the kids properly if you haven't made a mistake?
Well, we try and be really careful. We try and not rush into anything. We try and always see the children, young person, but also take information, reports from their teachers, from outreach team, speech and language therapy, so other people involved with them.
Can I ask you another question? What does mild autism mean? Because I have that, sorry.
Well, I think we think of autism as a condition that can be very different in different people. And so some people seem to be more affected than others. So I suppose the people who are less affected, you might say they've got mild autism. And in other words, they're not so affected in their lives as maybe some other people. Yes, so perhaps some other children you might have met, young people, have got more difficulties than you've got, perhaps, you might have noticed. Medically, we don't usually call it mild, but it's fine to talk about it like that, I think.
What do you call it?
We just call it autism spectrum disorder, trying to mean that's still a range of difficulties that children have.
Okay.
What does it mean if a baby's born with their brain not fully developed?
Well, that can mean different things, because some babies it means an actual whole part of their brain isn't developed. But in autism, it's not like that. Everyone with autism's got a perfectly normal size, normal looking brain. It just means that maybe some of the connections in it aren't quite working as well as they could.
Could you explain that a little bit more? Like, how does the brain connect and stuff?
Well, we know when babies are born, they've got lots of connections in their brain, and some of the connections actually get refined, get made more simple as they grow, and they have, so the connections are quite straightforward. And in some people who've got difficulties, maybe you could think about it, they're not connecting up quite in the same way as other people's.
Like, I know that.
It's a bit of a theory though. When we look at imaging, if you do x-rays of people's heads, your heads would look fine. So it's nothing we can really look at on an x-ray or a scan and say, oh, this is an autism brain or this isn't. It's a bit more difficult than that.
Can you cure autism?
I think you're born with autism, and if you have it, you always have it. But what will change is the way it affects you and how you feel about it, and it does change over time.
So, like I got mild autism.
Yes.
Does it mean that my brain's not connected properly?
Maybe some of the connections in your brain aren't quite as well formed as they may have been. Maybe that's one of the difficulties.
Wow.
But it's not something we could look at. If I chopped your head open and looked in, I wouldn't be able to see it. It's very much at just a tiny level of cells, the cells in the brain. So it's very small, if you like. It's not a big problem.
It's really interesting, sorry.
What advice would you give to parents who've just found out that they've got autism? What advice do you give to them?
Well, what we say to parents when we give the diagnosis is we say to them, I know this is maybe going to be upsetting for you, and try and acknowledge that, but say to them that it's just the beginning of a journey of them learning about autism and learning about what they can do to help their child, and learning about all the things in the area to help as well.
About the kids with the autism and their brain is not, what's it called? Developed. Does it mean if my brain did develop, does it mean I wouldn't have autism at all?
I think I just say what I said before, that I think if you're born with autism, you'll always have it. But there's lots of ways of helping people with autism to really do well and enjoy their lives and do well in their lives.
So what happens when you get diagnosed?
Okay, so we have the clinics here, and they're called our communication clinics. And we see the child and young person, their parents. And maybe yesterday when I did a clinic, I had the young person, I had their dad, their granny, their auntie, and their school teacher. So sometimes we get quite a few people coming along. We also, when they come, we all have reports done by other people, speech and language therapy, maybe psychology, maybe CAMS. So we have all the reports that are available. And then we ask the parents lots and lots of questions. And we also do something quite often called a play-based assessment. And I think you mentioned you came and you played with toys.
Yeah, I did.
Now, you thought you were just playing, but actually it was part of the assessment, possibly. So we get the history, and we try and find out how the young person is. And then what we do then is we leave the family in the room and come outside and have a chat and then go back and feedback what we've decided. And sometimes we can decide there and then, and sometimes we can't decide. We can't quite make our minds up.
How long does that roughly take?
The clinic takes about 2 hours.
No, how long in general does it take to, how many days would it take to diagnose with someone with autism? Is it a lot of paperwork? Or?
Well, once you've got to the clinic, it happens then, but getting to that point can take months. And we've got a lot of children waiting for an appointment at the moment. And every month we're increasing our clinics, and we do 20 clinics a month at the moment.
How many places are like this place? How many is there around London?
Well, this was the first one to be built that's got lots of different people in the building, but they are becoming more popular. And there's one in Lambeth, there's one in Southwark, there's one in Bromley. So yeah, the surrounding areas have similar places to us. I'm not quite sure they're quite as big as this.
Do you think the person who diagnosed me properly?
I think I can't answer that question, but I would say if anyone ever had any worries about their diagnosis, they should have another think about it with the person who diagnosed them, or with their parents or their teachers, and just have another chat about it. Because the doctors aren't always right, but we try our best.
So what after a child has got autism in this, who finds out they've got autism, what happens after? What's the sort of, what would you do after? Would you do you recommend special needs schools or?
Okay. Well, I think it varies on the day. Sometimes on the day, parents, when they're told, get a bit upset and really can't take anything else in. So you could, no point sitting there saying, and when they're 18, when they can do this. It's just not the right time. But we always give them information to take away. And then we call them back quite soon afterwards. We do a report, write it all down, and ask them to check it, that we've got it right. And then we see them again quite soon. And we see them with two ladies called family support workers from Lewisham Autism Support. So we have a chat, and then family have a chat with them. And they tell them all about the things in Lewisham and across the country for families and young people with autism.
Why are they upset? Why are the parents normally upset?
Well, I think perhaps sometimes they were hoping, maybe their child's speaking late or something, for example. They were hoping maybe that they'd just start talking and everything would be fine. But we've actually said to them, no, this is part of something else. This is a bit bigger than that. And it's always upsetting if there's something wrong or different with your child, even if it's, parents always do worry about their children, how it will affect them in the future, what does it mean. It can be a worrying time for parents, and that's, I think, why they sometimes get upset. Sometimes they're not upset at all and they're really pleased because they were waiting for this diagnosis and it means they can get more help.
Is autism genetic? Is autism genetic? Like, what's that word?
Genetic.
Yeah, is autism genetic?
Certainly it runs in some families, but it's not like some genetic conditions which mean if your mum's got it, you're bound to have it. And we've got some families where they've got several children and it's just one child in the family. And we've got some other families where they've got 5 children with autism in the family. So you think it must run in the family if there's 5 of them in the family. And so there must be a genetic link.
I think we're done here. So do you have anything else to say in this podcast before we finish?
Thank you very much for coming here and having a chat with me today. It's been really interesting.
And thank you for giving time to be here.
Pleasure.
Hope you can listen to it soon.
Oh, that would be great.
That was great, guys, don't you think?
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah.
It's very interesting how we was able to speak to a doctor who diagnoses children with autism.
Don't get it? So now I'm thinking my brain is not developed properly. Does it mean my brain, the wires in my brain are not connected? That's what I'm confused now.
I don't remember what our answer was about that. I think what she said was sorry, that's a really difficult thing. I don't know what I'm going to say.
But just look in the mirror and I look alright. Don't look like I've got special needs. I think a bit normal, but I know I can act a bit childish sometimes.
I could do that a little bit.
I act like not at 18 years old acts. Does that make sense? Like when I'm at home, I get a bit. I can't explain it.
Excited?
Excited and a bit,
Hi.
and I act a bit odd.
Odd.
Whoa. You know what I mean, Stevie? You know when I get a bit outside and I.
Yeah, but I think we all are a bit like that. Like I saw Dr. Viv doing it the other day. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. We can all be a bit like that. Like sometimes sometimes it's good to just have a bit of excitement. You get in trouble for it. Like today, I was just being a bit hyper. But I don't think it's delusions. It is delusions, but I don't think it's going to affect you that much. Just don't do that at school. People think you're crazy.
Well, I'm weird sometimes.
You're weird all the time.
Really?
No. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim, for helping us. Thanks, Roland. And thank you, Katie. And thank you, Catherine. And thank you, San.
And next week we're going to be talking to a parent who has 2 sons that have autism, and we're going to hear her take on what it's like.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
This podcast was produced at Drumbeat School and ASD Service.
This project was produced by Roland Billingham,
Tim Godwin
Catherine Stevenson.
and Katie Kennell.
For more information on this podcast,
And all of the other services available in Drumbeat School.
please visit our website, drumbeatasd.org.
This is a Drumbeat Media production.